Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is our Friday night Smackdown review, the week of July 23rd, 2021. And what an episode this was, divided between two arenas, Cleveland, Ohio, and the live event of Rolling Loud. We got, I think, two matches there.
Yep,
so very interesting. Yeah, and I got to say, I'm going to say right out of the gate so I don't forget, honorary high spot tonight goes to the crowd of Cleveland. Probably my favorite wrestling crowd in a long time. Because I feel like when they say that the crowd is the third man in wrestling, I think Cleveland personifies what that means. It's being reactive to what's actually happening in the ring, not caring about getting yourselves over. And if you don't like anything, because everybody's entitled to their opinion, silence is golden. Because then it's the job of the performers to get you back into it, to pop you. But the things this crowd was hot for, and they played off the heels great. The baby faces they were behind was very eye-opening to me in a good way. Cleveland was awesome tonight. I just really have to give props to the crowd because, we always get on them when they're shitty. So I think when they're good, it's just as important to get on them there. And as far as the episode itself, wow. Here's the thing. Was it an exceptional 2 hours of television? I wouldn't say exceptional. I would, however, say for the final 10 minutes, if it's committed to it, because I'll be the first one to be cynical and say I think it's a smokescreen, and I'll get into a little bit of that later. But if they are acting in good faith with those final 10 minutes, and they were sincere in what they presented, that is the kind of boldness that I have been looking for from WWE television for the last couple years when it comes to promoting Big Four pay-per-views. So I am all about that final segment. And I think the rest of the show was solid at best. I don't think anything really angered me on the show. Nothing really made me go, ugh. And even when it did, I think, it was handled pretty well. How'd you feel about it, man?
I honestly feel like this episode of Smackdown was live reaction worthy. This was such a good show to me. There was a lot of really, really, really good stuff in this. And very, very little that I would say was worth complaining about personally. So yeah, I felt this was a really strong show. If I had to give this a number grade, I'd say maybe even an 8.5 out of 10 Smackdown for me.
I'm more in the 7.58 range, but you know what, dude? Looking at what we got tonight, and especially the promo work of our tribal chief, who, when he said you at home, acknowledged me, I was busy making up food, but I actually said, you're my tribal chief, Roman, right at my tablet. So I clearly don't need help. Given what we got on this show, I can totally understand why you'd arrive at that numerical grade. So let's get right into it.
I think I'm going to say some things during this review that might even surprise you about what I liked.
Okay, dude. Those reviews, I always love the best. So let's get into our first segment, Heat of the Night. It ain't just because it's New England, baby, but it's pretty cold on this side of things. I got no heats tonight. I don't even think I have any nitpicks, honestly. It was a solid 2 hours that I really didn't have any complaints about. Do you have anything you want to air out here?
I think same. I think I'm also, feeling pretty chill, pretty cool over here.
Sweet. All right, let us get into our Friday night Smackdown review. We open with John Cena. Great energy again from Cleveland. Cena, what I like about him, somebody mentioned this during his Raw promo in a YouTube comment. They said he's so good at talking, even when he loses the crowd or they seemingly turn on him.
I just realized I do have one little nitpick.
Okay, let's run it back. Heat of the night. Ashton, what's your nitpick?
I don't like that we didn't get any follow-up on the Intercontinental Championship schmoz that was really, really early on in the show.
That is fair, and that is noted. Now let us get into our Friday night SmackDown review. Fast forward. Okay, so what somebody said about John Cena's mic work in a YouTube comment that I liked is that even when he seems to lose the crowd or they seem particularly hostile to him, he always has a way of getting them back. But here, I don't even think the crowd was really that hostile to him tonight at all. I think it was an easier night for John Cena. They seem very much behind him. He talks about, you guys have a right to be heard. You know, and I want the match with Roman Reigns at SummerSlam because Roman Reigns as Universal Champion means SmackDown absolutely sucks. You know, I understand why Cena said that line. It's kind of funny, though, because one man doesn't make a show. You know, there's a whole undercard and stuff there. So, you know, if I'm Kevin Owens or the women's division or whatever, I'm like, uh-huh. But again, I get that he's just saying that, you know, Roman is the world champion. Therefore, he's kind of the face of that brand because he's always going to be the most visible. And that's why it sucks, because we need a better champion. So solid promo from Cena here. Do you have anything you want to say about it?
The Cena promo, look here, dude, here's the crazy thing. Like, while Cena was cutting this promo, all I could think of was like, holy shit, he wasn't around the entire crowdless era, but as soon as crowds come back, not only is he back, but he's opening every show again like it's 2012.
Yeah. Yeah, it's freaking wild, dude. How over he's been with these crowds lately since returning at Money in the Bank.
Yep.
And, you know, like, it's funny, too, because he says you have a right to be heard, because I think he's anticipating that, you know, the crowd, if he gets his match at SummerSlam, which I still think is more of an open question. Again, I look very much forward to talking about it with you when we get to exactly what we're talking about. You know, he's like, you know, are you team jorts or are you team cargo pants? Are you hustle, loyalty, and respect? Or, you know, the whole tribal chief thing with Roman Reigns. And the thing is, with some of the stuff that he said, I even said in our live wrestling discussion channel on our TWitWoW Discord, which you guys can join if you haven't already for $3 a month, I said, oh, Roman Reigns sucks? Take off your hat, Cena, because I've been ragging him for, like, the haircut and everything. I even said during one of our Stardom live reactions, I think before we got into a match, like, oh, I wonder if John Cena was comfortable coming out with that hair because he saw Baron Corbin and he knew he had nothing to worry about. And you just died. So I'm definitely very clearly Team Roman Reigns. But I thought it was a very solid promo from Cena. And it is amazing how hot he's been. And here's the thing, dude. I almost wonder if, not to get it political or have more of a meta commentary, but I wonder if the reality of COVID and being away from all this stuff will make people just hotter for it for a time. And I wonder when they are going to be more tepid, which in a cruel way would really signal a return to normalcy.
Well,
but for now, I think
fair,
that, yeah.
Even just at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, I feel like the crowd was pretty dead for a couple matches even. Like, it wasn't hot for the entire show no matter what happened. There were a couple matches in the middle of the show. I think the Raw tag titles and maybe even the Raw Women's title match. Early on, well, no, because that was when they were doing the whole, like, we want Becky thing. And they got one back. But yeah, at least like the Raw tag titles, I feel like they were pretty chill for that. So it's not like they're just hot for anything no matter what. They still are, you know, you still have to kind of earn their cheers. They're just more ready to cheer loudly.
Excuse me, guys. Sorry. Thank you. I think that is a fair point. That's what I was getting ready to say before Vince McMahon just glared at me. But yeah, I guess you do have a fair point there. I do think, again, this is a solid promo from Cena, and he calls Roman out, and he's like, come on out, Roman Reigns, and it's like a raucous boo, and he's like, oh, please come out, Roman Reigns, and then we get Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman kind of has a great moment tonight for himself, because this is the most talking he's done in a while, and he says, you know, that Roman Reigns will come out on his time, you know, when he's ready, and show everyone that the tribal chief is here, and then he mocks Cena's theme, which is great. I'm sure that's good. Exactly. You know that's going to be.
I was a little bit impressed that Paul Heyman could get that like tone to his voice. I was like, damn, he's really putting his back into it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we know that this kind of lays the groundwork for Roman to come out later, and Roman's promo. If the first time they feuded, John Cena was like, "You got to learn how to cut a promo." Roman in that time got his fucking doctorate because I loved his mic work tonight. But we'll get to that later. Next, we get Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn, and I have a little bit I want to say about this, but I wanted you to go first, man. What did you think of this match?
This was really good, dude. And even the match itself didn't even have to be great, and I wouldn't say it was great because it was too short to be great, but it was good enough for the amount of time it got, and what really matters is that Finn Balor is over as fuck. Holy shit. You'd think this dude just came back from like a year off with an injury. He's been in NXT almost the whole time. I guess people that watch SmackDown don't all necessarily watch NXT.
God, it's to kind of get into it a little bit with you. It's kind of both wonderful and sad at the same time, isn't it? It's wonderful for Finn because seeing him this hot when he really is so good. And I like that
Yeah,
Finn.
to be fair,
I think
the last time we saw him in NXT, he was getting dominated by Karrion Kross too.
Yeah, that's even, and see, that'll come up to my next point, which is kind of a double-edged sword since you bring that up, and that is a salient point. But what I was going to say was, I think he's retained some of his edge that he kind of got back in NXT. I mean, as evidenced by the closing segment, and I like that. And the crowd was so responsive to him. And I think Finn. Here's the thing: I've always liked Finn. I even like the little bit of stuff I saw of him as Devin in New Japan, but I've really always liked his WWE stuff. The most critical I think I ever was of Balor was his first NXT championship run, and to be perfectly fair, that had nothing to do with him and everything to do with the fact that I thought it went on a little too long.
Yeah.
I would have shaved some time off it, but that's not Finn's fault.
Joe should have won it a little earlier than he did, if not a lot earlier than he did.
Yeah, but you and I could also agree, Finn has nothing to do with that. So,
right.
He was solid the whole way through. So to see him be received like this is a beautiful freaking thing. It's the magic to me of pro wrestling. Now, to go to where I said it's sad, because you brought up two salient points back to back. One, that I guess a lot of SmackDown people don't watch NXT, and two, he got dominated by Karrion Kross. It's both a gift and a curse, because I think that reception does show, you guys know NXT is a thing, right? But on the other hand, when you see him get dominated by Kross, who in turn lost via cheating, admittedly, to Jeff Hardy last Monday, maybe it's good that they don't, because Finn's stock is really high right now.
Yep.
I think it's very telling.
Might be at an all-time low within the confines of WWE, at least.
Yeah, we really don't know. The next few weeks on NXT and stuff, at least as it relates to him, are going to be very interesting. But I will say, man, good for Finn. It's so weird because NXT is on the USA Network. You'd think they should be the most visible they've ever been, and yet you couldn't tell by how this crowd reacts, because I think they'd be more, not necessarily tepid with Finn, but not nearly as excited as they were. Dude, they were let's go Finn, raucously. They fed off every bit of offense he did.
What surprised me is that out of absolutely nowhere, there was no offense being executed. There was just nothing happening. Finn was just standing there looking at Sammy, preparing to do something. I don't even remember what. And out of just nowhere, just out of silence, we got "Let's Go Balor." Chant started up, and it picked up, and it permeated throughout the arena. It was crazy. That's some Daniel Bryan shit. We haven't seen that type of babyface reaction since Bryan was at his peak.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking wild. I am so happy for Finn that he's getting this reception and having this kind of success. He deserves it. The dude's been busting his ass. Yeah. And really, when you think about how loyal he's been to NXT, which is WWE, that's their farming system. That is their future. Again, we've always talked about it's in this weird limbo hybrid space of being both a third brand and developmental. Finn is a company guy through and through just because of the match quality and everything he's done for NXT, especially putting over twice their latest pet project in Kross. So to see Finn get this back, maybe Sammy's right about the karmic bend of the universe, because Finn's got a lot of good coming to him, and honestly, it's about fucking time. So I'm really happy for the dude. He beat Sammy. Admittedly, my stream kind of cut out here. I'm assuming he beat him with the coup de grace, right?
Yeah. He actually ended up hitting him with two of the shotgun drop kicks, because after the first one, he was still kind of stumbling. So it took two shotgun drop kicks to get him off his feet. Coup de grace, 1, 2, 3, that's it.
I love Finn's shotgun drop kicks, so that's great. Here we get a Baron Corbin interview. Now, this is separate from the other segment that happened, which I actually have a bit I want to say about that, but we'll get to that. Baron Corbin, he's just asked about how much money he made on the site, and he's pretty much saying he didn't make any money because the guy that he paid to build the site and everything, he ghosted him, took his money, and he's pretty sure that he also took his identity, which our, again, live wrestling discussion channel had a good laugh about that, because it was either Javaris or Foster who said, bro, who would even want to be you? And, agreed. It's been a real rough time for down bad Corbin. Anything you want to say about this interview?
I mean, this interview was, again, kind of funny just because, this was the interview that made me realize that Corbin's going to find a way to win you over specifically, because he's just dunking on, poor people, and you love the whole, ha ha ha, I'm rich, therefore I can do no wrong gimmick. So,
yes.
that's like, I'm like, okay, John's gonna start liking Corbin again now, and lo and behold, it wasn't even this that did it, but I think you are coming around on him.
Again, dude, I have stuff I want to say because here's the thing, and I'm speaking totally sincerely because honestly, I've done enough turning up today. I'd like a more sincere commentary, at least on my side of things. I think this has narrative potential. I really do, and if they go the route that I'm kind of hoping they go, I think it'll be good. At least for one guy, I think it is asymmetrical in benefits because I think Corbin will benefit a lot more than the other guy if it goes the way that I want it to and the way that it might go. But yeah, this might actually be the thing that gets Corbin over. We'll wait and see. In the meantime, though, it's obvious that his life just keeps getting worse, and it's still kind of funny for the rest of us. We get Big E, Mr. Money in the Bank. Okay, so I just want to talk about Big E being the briefcase holder just real quick before we get to the actual meat of the segment, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking a lot about this. Obviously, the dude deserves it. I read an interview that he gave, or at least an excerpt from an interview that he gave, and he said that it was crazy, the pop that he got in the arena. Like, he was overwhelmed with fans, like, especially after the show, hitting him up on Twitter, congratulating him. He said it's a drug. He actually said that the moment he got to have that Money in the Bank actually made him feel bad for Drew that he didn't get to have his big moments in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
Because Big E even said, like, if I would have had this same match in the Thunderdome, I'm even kind of like paraphrasing the interview here because I'm looking right at it. He says, quote, if we had that same match in the Thunderdome, I still would have been very grateful. I still would have had so many of the same emotions. But the stuff that makes you stay up all night, I only slept 90 minutes because I was sitting in my hotel room buzzing for hours upon hours. The magic of this stuff, the stuff that makes you want to keep coming back for more years and years later, is the reaction of the people. In fact, he even said that Kevin Owens told him that Kevin had to cover, like, his ears hurt from the pop that Big E got after winning, and that's never happened to him.
Wow.
So I only wanted to take up that space, Ashton, just to kind of show people that they back the right horse in this case.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And, like, you already know that I posted, again, in the live wrestling discussion channel, the comment I left under that article. I don't want, and this could potentially be a hot take. I don't know how the internet feels right now. I haven't taken the temperature. I don't want Big E to cash in on Lashley. I honestly don't want the New Day back together because they don't need to be together to show that they're friends. Nor, just to get ahead of it, I don't want them to turn on each other. I might have been into that, like, I don't know, 3 years into their run, but they're going to be celebrating their 7-year anniversary. It's not happening, fam. It's not happening. And honestly, at this point, if it did happen, I'd probably be more disgusted in a bad way than in a good way. Yeah. So, like, shelf that shit. I don't want them back together, though, because you don't need to be with your friends 24/7, 365 to prove that you are friends. I think there's something more beautiful that they could be divided by, you know, these different brands, which, of course, are going to be in different areas, so they're also going to be divided in a way by geography, and they're still going to support each other, and they're still going to be there for each other. I mean, hell, I don't know if you saw, dude, but like one.com exclusive after Money in the Bank saw Woods and Kofi celebrating with E having the briefcase. Like, that's beautiful to me. I want this dude to cash in on Roman Reigns. I want this dude to do an RVD-style cash-in to Roman's face, preferably for WrestleMania. That's the fucking dream right there, honestly. That he tells him to his face, hey, WrestleMania, you and me, let's do it. Because Big E, as a babyface, believes in himself to beat 100% Roman Reigns. I think that's magic. I think that's power. I want to see this guy move merch on his own. I want to see this guy push tickets on his own. And I think he's got it. So now, to actually get back to the segment, rather than me giving a dissertation on him holding the briefcase, the crowd greets him with "You deserve it" chants. Again, Cleveland loved the baby faces tonight for the most part. It was amazing. Big E seemed genuinely touched by it. He says, thank you, guys. He talks about how he'll never forget this night, July 18th. It was a wonderful moment for them. And then Apollo interrupts. And I kind of groan a little bit because, again, I've taken up for Apollo on this show. But specifically, I've taken up Apollo on doing literally anything else. I think he's actually put effort into this heel character. He's got Aziz. He's got great packaging. Like, feud with Shinsuke one-on-one, which Shinsuke is going to be a part of it, and I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, that way Rick Boogs can lift Commander Aziz above his fucking head because he's a freak show.
Exactly. I mean, I hope one day he'll be able to have the power to lift somebody and play the guitar at the same time like he does on Twitter. But yeah, lift him over his head, military press, That fucking Commander. Yeah, Commander Aziz. He can do more stuff. So when he interrupted initially, I'm like, and then Apollo's almost kind of dissing the briefcase because it's like, well, it's still not holding an actual title. It's more like only a promise at a championship. Yeah. And then fucking the Dirty Dogs interrupt. Ew, because the segment got significantly older.
I didn't understand why you would have them come out to interrupt Apollo, and then you could do two baby faces in a row where you do Nakamura and then Cesaro. I feel like you should have swapped Nakamura with the Dirty Dogs. You have, Apollo come out first, then Nakamura, and you get a big pop because he's interrupting Apollo. Then Dirty Dogs interrupt Nakamura, and it's like, oh, no, fuck you. And then Cesaro comes out and gets the biggest pop of them all, does the line about swing, and we're fucking going on.
Yeah. So this was the schmoz that you talked about that didn't even lead to a tag match. So there's really nothing more to say here. I'm guessing you don't have anything you want to add since you already kind of touched on in the opening segment, or do you?
I'm guessing we're going to get a 6-man tag next week. I wish they would have announced it this week and made it official, but obviously, WWE and committing to doing something is never a great duo. But yeah, I think it is probably going to lead to a 6-man tag next week. It's probably going to be Cesaro, Nakamura, and Big E versus the Dirty Dogs and Apollo. I wish it would be an 8-man tag, also including Commander Aziz and Eric Bugenhagen, but we don't have anything official anyway, so it's hard to even say. I just really want Rick Boogs to have a chance to actually wrestle, but man, they're really, I don't know if I would say that it's necessarily protecting him or just like hiding him,
Yeah, exactly. I don't know either, because I don't even feel like we got to see Boogs compete that much in NXT, and it's like...
Dude, I think he wrestled like maybe 2 matches tops. It might have even only been 1.
I mean, is he greener than we think he is? Because, I know he's credentialed. At this point,
you'd really hope not. And at the very least, he doesn't need to do any technical wrestling stuff if he can just get in there and do feats of strength. Like, let him go in there and, like, Irish whip somebody and then give him a crazy high back body drop because he can lift him so high into the air. Let him get in there and, like, lift somebody off the top rope and do a crazy gorilla press slam onto someone way bigger than him. Let him show off his power even if he can't wrestle yet. Which, again, though, like, he's been in the Performance Center for, like, 4 years now. You'd surely hope he could do some things in the ring already.
I mean, bro, here's the thing, and I know this name isn't always the best to bring up for, like, a comparison or what have you, but, like, I've said in the past, dude, Boogs looks like straight out of the 80s. He looks like he's from a comic book. I feel like he would have thrived in the WWF again, when I say 80s and stuff like that. Even dude, and this brings me to my big point, because it's funny, the moves that you mentioned him doing, if you literally had him work like an Ultimate Warrior, I'd be cool with that. Because I feel like he could pull that off. He could on that run, he could pull that off. Yeah.
Like, dude, I guarantee you he's less limited than Warrior was, because Warrior was like, the big roided out powerhouse, but he couldn't actually really move like Boogs can.
Exactly. So even if you wanted, because of his look, his presence, and everything, to be like, listen, kid, we've got everybody else doing flippy shit and even technical shit. Why don't we make you kind of a throwback? Watch some Ultimate Warrior tapes. That's what we want from you. He could 100% pull that off, and I guarantee you, with crowds remaining this hot right now, he would need to get on the getting while the getting's good, because I bet you can move some merch with that kind of shit. Like, I don't know. I'm glad we agree on that,
honestly, man. Dude, if not Nakamura himself, Boogs would be a great contender for Apollo's Intercontinental title.
Absolutely. Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. After this, we do go to Rolling Loud. Wale introduces the Street Profits. Always great to see Wale. Love Big E's theme. Shout out to Wale. And he introduces Street Profits, particularly Angelo Dawkins, who goes against Gable. Not really much to say here, bro. Obviously, because they're at a concert, you want to keep the crowd in a good mood. So baby faces go over. Dawkins, I think, won after his, spine buster or what have you. But Gable, man, it's just, he wrestles so clean and so crisp. He got like a Hammerlock Northern Lights here that was beautiful. He got Dawkins in a German that was impeccably executed. Mm-hmm. Great stuff from both guys. Do you have anything you want to say about this?
I was watching this, and I was just really kind of enjoying the atmosphere of this because it was so different. Like the vibe, because it was basically like a concert stage that they had the ring set up on that they were wrestling on, and the crowd isn't necessarily a wrestling crowd. So, like, if you think about it, we have concerts a lot in WWE, like, during wrestling shows, and they're almost always poorly received, which excuse me, really made me wonder how the wrestling would be received on a show that's for music. And I feel like they received it relatively well. It seems like they actually got pretty into it. I would say more this match than the Bianca Carmella match, unfortunately. But yeah, I think it was pretty good. I think they actually got Dawkins over, especially I feel like when he did the 360 splash in the corner was the biggest reaction he got from the crowd. That got a pretty nice little pop. But other than that, yeah, I feel like the crowd was like more quiet. It's also hard to tell because it is a completely open stage, so you can't hear the crowd as well as you can when it's an enclosed arena. But it seemed like they were into it for the most part. I mean, you could they showed far off shots of the crowd, and there was a lot of movement, which implies that there aren't a lot of people just standing there watching the match. So, but the up close people, like the few sections that were right up near the ring, it seems like they were watching the match the whole time. I just love to imagine what it's like to be one of those people watching something like this, maybe even for the first time ever, or maybe even for the first time since you're a kid, and seeing these dudes go at it and being like, whoa, this is pretty cool, or being like, man, this is lame, or like what kind of reaction they would have, you know?
Yeah, it's always fascinating to me when WWE gets to do venues like this because, obviously everybody always talks about that wrestling isn't as mainstream as it used to be, saying obviously the go-to is always the Rock Austin era. But they did seem into this. I actually did want to ask you, transitioning right into the next matchup, we get the SmackDown Women's Championship match, Bianca versus Carmella. One thing I will note about this match was it was very short. I think it was even shorter than the match they had last week.
It might have been.
Bianca, I think, readily handled Carmella. But the question I had for you is, of course, if you want to talk about...
I'm waiting for next week announcement coming from it's WWE on Twitter tonight, or Fox Sports on Twitter or something tonight, or even tomorrow, or even on Talking Smack tomorrow. Carmella challenging Bianca Belair next Friday again.
Dude, the funny thing is, you're not even wrong, because the division, again, we already talked about Bayley being injured. It has taken a hit for sure, and I think it is a very shallow division.
Well, no, I think they could even spiral that into a Liv storyline.
Oh God, I hope they do. Because and guys, I got to say this too. I don't know when the next Fave 5 is, but I really can't wait to talk about Liv Morgan. I'll tell you guys right now, very good chance she'll be ranked there. I've been loving her story, and I honestly missed her tonight. I was eagerly anticipating her. That's how you know that I've become an even bigger fan of Liv Morgan than what I kind of show myself to be on the podcast. I was actively looking for her tonight, and she wasn't on. And I think she was one of the standouts of the Money in the Bank ladder match. So I did just want to ask you one thing, bro. Just one, of course, if you had any thoughts about this match that you wanted to share. But two, because I was kind of dealing with other stuff, I didn't have my volume calibrated to this segment. Was Bianca over? Did the crowd respond positively to her? Because I know her and Sasha have been kind of taking over the world with the SBs and everything else.
Like I said, dude, the crowd, it was hard to even hear the crowd because it was like an open stadium. It's like an open stage rather than an enclosed arena. So the crowd wasn't really as audible in Miami as it was in Cleveland. I honestly couldn't tell you if they were overly responsive to Bianca or not. It seems like once she hit the KOD, there's a little pop, and I did hear a very faint 1, 2, 3 as the ref counted for her to win. But other than that, I didn't hear much.
All right. Well, again, always fascinating when WWE goes to venues like this because we can really gauge how mainstream they really are. I have to wonder if an Edge was there instead, or even a Becky. If Becky was there or something, what the pop would have been. Always nice to know, how, quote-unquote, outsiders, because I don't know, I'm assuming it's a venue full of casuals, right? How they respond to some of the top acts. So, that was that. And let's see. Moving on from that. Oh, we get more women here. We get Tegan and Shotzi working on Shotzi's tank. KO's kind of saying, oh, did you hit that part with a hammer? And they're like, oh, we did that already. Oh, well. Okay. And then KO runs into Corbin again. Corbin with a new shirt, this time with a ketchup stain. Very, very prominent.
Well, that's the same shirt that he was wearing when he got interviewed by Kayla earlier.
Yes. But, he kind of runs it back with Kevin. He apologizes, seemingly being sincere. And he says, look, what was I going to say? It was wrong to talk to you the way that I did. but I figure if anybody can understand what I'm going through, it's you. So, can you please help me out? Kevin actually does give him some money, but not before telling him that the things that are happening to Corbin, it's because he treated people poorly. And, now it's kind of coming back on him, and maybe he could reflect on that. Kevin gives him the money. Now, where this segment gets interesting, Shotzi and Tegan, I guess they do fix up the tank. Tegan accidentally hits the tank. I actually watched the GIF back. It is Tegan that does this. I know there was kind of a debate. And the ball gets shot out, hits Corbin. Corbin sinks. Now, the Dirty Dogs come in, and they take the money that Kevin gave Corbin. Kevin comes back with a steel chair, and he chases him off. And he says, hey, leave him alone. Hey, are you all right? And Corbin kind of shakes his head, no, but Kevin kind of stays with him. And I said in the live wrestling discussion Discord, and I want to reiterate here, I want the story to be that Kevin Owens teaches Corbin how to be a good person.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I am a huge Kevin Owens fan. And I am not, what's a safe word I can use, because I am trying to make my language less seemingly ableist. I'm not unaware of the fact that this storyline would benefit Corbin way more than Kevin Owens. That's why I said it has asymmetrical benefits. However, I believe that Kevin Owens has been such a quality babyface. I believe in his power to get Corbin over, dude. I do. And I think there is a power in the story because, as I've gotten older, I am more about the storytelling. I am more about the characters. I think there's something really powerful about a story involving a guy that he's trying to be better. He's recognized his wrongs and he's trying to be a better person. And even though I wouldn't even say his journey's completed, he's kind of reached his hand out to a fellow traveler in a way in Corbin. And he's like, okay, let's figure this out together. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if next week we got a tag match, Corbin and KO versus Dirty Dogs. In fact, I almost wonder if we could be looking at potential tag team champions on the SmackDown side. Now, granted, the Bloodline kind of has a monopoly on those titles, I think. So really, maybe I should be more pointed and say, I wonder if we're looking at potential contenders for the tag titles. But I think it would be great if we saw KO be a bigger part of this Corbin story, try and guide him to being a better Baron Corbin. What do you think?
I think it's interesting for sure. I love that you practically called this, though. Because, last week, you literally brought up Kevin Owens' journey from heel to face and how he really went out of his way to try and make amends with the people that he wronged as a heel. And now, who does Corbin end up going to for basically advice on how to be a babyface? Kevin Owens. I love that this was your brainchild and WWE is realizing it and actualizing it on their TV show. That makes me so happy for you.
I really appreciate you giving me that credit, man, because I didn't even really think about it that way, but you thinking about it that way means a hell of a lot more. And, again, you and I are diehard Lucha Underground fans. Even, we're going to be talking about it 10 years from now. I know how we are. And I always think about Lucha Underground doing stories like this, and it gets me giddy. SmackDown is the best show for the story to happen on because I do think it's the best show WWE is producing.
Yeah.
I think they've got the right babyface for this. And again, you know what? Even though this does benefit Corbin more than KO, I think if there's any benefit that this gives KO, it keeps him out of the main event picture, which means he's not overbearing. But at the same time, it keeps him visible so people don't forget about him. It's walking that line perfectly, I think, because we've already talked about...
I have this idea, too, of, what if this whole Corbin face turn is a fake out and they're going to have him basically get Kevin to help him and, financially support him and try and help him get himself, dig himself out of the hole that he's in. And then, boom, his luck's going to turn around. He's going to come into a whole bunch of money. He's going to go back to being an asshole. And Kevin is going to be the direct, what's the opposite of a beneficiary? The direct victim, I guess, of Corbin returning to being an asshole because, Kevin is the one that, stuck his neck out there for Corbin and was like, oh, no, he's turned a new leaf. He's becoming a better person. I'm helping him be a better guy and be nicer to people and not be such a jerk all the time. And then Corbin all of a sudden just turns on a dime. Kevin Owens is going to turn into the top fucking babyface on this show if that happens you that is one scenario that every single person can relate to, is feeling like you did all the work and you got somebody, you helped somebody, and you got literally nothing in return. And if anything, you were even harmed in some way in return. I guarantee you, Kevin's the top babyface on SmackDown if that happens.
I love that you said that. I love everything about what you just said because the beauty of what you just said to me, I feel like undercard like mid-card angles exactly like this, when done right, can be the most captivating thing on TV, maybe even more so than the main event angles. We've seen that in wrestling before. Now, granted, this has Corbin, the proven anti-draw, so it's going to be a considerable effort, but maybe
I'm
an effort that's
my
doable.
stance on that too. I don't think there's such thing as somebody that is incapable of being a money draw ever. I think it's more about Corbin's not a draw as a main eventer. That doesn't mean he can't be a draw as a mid-carder or as a gatekeeper or as even a comedy act for all we know. But they tried the main event thing. It didn't work. Never do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I like to, if anything else, I like, how can I put this? The experimental disposition I think WWE takes with some talent. I wish they would take it with more talent, but like you just said, they learned that Corbin doesn't work in a main event mold. Yeah. So what do then? You kind of put him in another scenario, maybe even tweak the character a little bit. So I like that. I like that WWE is actively figuring out where does Corbin fit in our scheme. And KO helping, look, again, with us being older, we see the championships are props. Not everybody can be world champion at once. Not everybody can be in the main event at once. Now, with me having that mature stance, does that mean I don't want Kevin Owens to be Universal Champion? No, I want him to win that fucking title. I want him to stun Roman Reigns into next week. I am still a child at heart. However, do I think it's also a testament to how great a guy is when he can help get another person over, which is the essence of this fucking business? Absolutely. So I'm excited for Kevin Owens here. I'm really excited for him here, and I'm excited for Corbin here. This is the most excited I've been for Corbin in years. And it really is. Like, and you know, I just want to touch on something. You are right. I am an asshole. And in the world of fiction, I can appreciate things that, you know, I'm just utterly aghast and appalled at in real life. But that isn't even the case here. I just genuinely enjoy the narrative potential that this has. So I'm curious what they'll do with it. But with that said, and I appreciate you letting me kind of talk that out because I had a lot of thoughts about that in particular, we get Edge. And I just want to say before handing this segment over to you, only soundbite I have for right now, Edge understands how to be old in the right way. Like, that's what he is. I'm
like, he knows how to use that old to be ornery.
He's the anti-boomer. It's really amazing. It's like you've aged, which should appall me, but you do it in such a way that's compelling that I respect it. So my nonsense commentary aside, what did you think?
He's the remoob?
You know what? Any other time I would tell you to go to your room, but I just feel like you dropped some wisdom on our asses. Yes, that's exactly what I'm fucking saying. Fuck yeah. So my nonsense aside, what did you think about this segment? Because I think Edge has been
my nonsense aside, I thought that Edge's promo here was great, and I thought that Seth's promo when he came out was great. I thought they were both great. I thought Edge cut a really strong, fiery babyface promo that kind of alluded to, like, he might be a babyface, but he's not like a white bread babyface. Like, he's not he's not John Cena. He's not your typical like Boy Scout type babyface. He's a guy who tries not to be an asshole to people until they're an asshole to him first, and then it's all hell unleashed.
Exactly. Yeah. And Edge, you know, he wasn't quite as unnerving as I expected him to be, but he did kind of say like more or less like, dude, what did you do? Like, I have so many years in this business. You know the people I ran with? Yeah. I was in the Brood. I was in the Ministry of Darkness.
Like, listen to that name. Ministry of Darkness. Even if you don't know who that was associated with, you hear the name and you're immediately like, oh shit.
Exactly. Like, I'm actually amazed, and maybe it's because he is a babyface, so he doesn't like to reference heel stuff, but I don't think that's necessarily true either, because I know for a fact Edge has in the past as a babyface, and I think that's perfectly okay to do, because what was heelish today could be babyface tomorrow. You never know with the culture. Yeah. But, like, I'm amazed he didn't say, like, I was the one that tormented Vicky Guerrero when she was in a wheelchair and I went to Hell in a Cell with The Undertaker. Like, this dude is fucked. Like, if you really look at Edge's file and you look at his career, especially as a heel, this dude, like, man, I'm having trouble finding a therapist. Phantom Networks exist because of this dude. They don't want to get him in front of anybody. Jesus Christ.
Say, I stole a guy's girlfriend and ruined both of their careers while I thrived.
Yeah. do you know what I'll fucking do to you? Like, yeah. And then Seth, God, I hate how relatable this asshole is.
And I loved her. What do you think I'll do to you? I don't even like you.
Exactly. And then we get to Seth, and God, I already do enough introspection. Wrestling is supposed to be my escape, and I hate how relatable this fucking asshole is. I'm like, God damn it, why are you me? Why are you a less talented, worse dressed version of me? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, God, but Seth, oh, God. He comes out and he's like, no, I'm going to be honest. I was going to say how Cleveland sucks. I laugh. And then he like keeps talking about the things he was going to do, and the crowd boos him, and then I love, which is peak me. Yeah, which is exactly like when I say something just utterly ridiculous and horrible to you, you reasonably are like, dude, what the fuck? And I'm like, listen. And I really actually genuinely try to do the mental.
But I really just need you to let me have this right now.
Yeah, I need you to respect the authority that is behind my opinion. And like, God damn if Seth doesn't have that exact energy. It's like, dude, look, I know I almost broke your fragile neck, but like, you can see that you had it coming. And it's like, dude, stop being me right now. It's weird. Like, I almost want to be a good person for all the wrong reasons just so that I can disassociate from you. What is this? What is this? What's happening? No, this fucked me up. No, don't laugh. This fucked me up tonight. I was like, what? Now you're laughing harder. Oh my God. But no, this fucked me up tonight. I'm like, what am I watching? What is happening? Art is not supposed to imitate my life.
Seth was like borderline manic in this.
Yeah. And again, fucking mood. I have to like fucking mood, you know? I'm like, damn. Because Seth, and I feel like Seth's been this way for a while, especially in the feud with Cesaro. You can see that him not getting what he perceives he deserves is really grinding on him now.
Dude, that's the thing, is like, he actually made some points in his promo, but you just don't want to give him the satisfaction.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, fuck. And then Foster has to put the eyes in, like, Seth is John when he has enough distance between people who want to fight him. You know what, Foster? You're very perceptive. I can't even finish the actual quote from Jessica Jones because you're beautiful and I love you and I want to be your friend till the day I die. But fuck you for that observation, man. Fuck you.
You're very perceptive and you just hurt me with your words. How's that?
Yeah, you're a very perceptive, sensitive feelings herder. Because you're not insensitive. We all know that. But yeah, Seth just talking about how Edge has been terrible to him, how he hates people like him and John Cena, who are habitual line steppers when they come back and just cut people off like Seth who actually deserve opportunities. And you know, like, and I've calmed down enough to make a serious point. I do like to have fun here. I love having fun with you guys. It'd be hypocritical for us to say, and I'm not saying you did because you literally just said he did make some points. It would be hypocritical of me to not give him credit for that, because we say that, like how we hate when people come back and take opportunities, and why don't you take chances on people that are there regularly? Seth is right, but he does it so well that you don't want to agree with him. That's a testament to how great a heel he is. And yeah, like, I enjoyed his promo here. The dude is obnoxious in the right way, because like, you see how he dresses, you see how he laughs, but it's like watching Seth, and I really do mean this as
you emphasize the laugh.
Yeah, oh god, the laugh. And I know this is going to be one of the weirdest compliments I've probably ever given on this show, at least in a good minute. It is, in the best possible way, like watching a car crash, because you don't expect to see something like that on a given day, but then when you do see it, you can't look away from it because you just have to know what happens next. And it's similarly with Seth. It's like, oh god, I really didn't think I'd get something that obnoxious today. But then you want to see, like, well, is he going to get punched in the face? And then Edge also channeling me. I don't know what it is about SmackDown and me between the KO Corbin stuff and now this. Am I owed royalty checks? Should I know what my rights are? Edge is like, oh, remember when I said I wasn't going to put my hands on you? I'm a liar. And like you said in the Discord, that's close. I do say I lie a lot. Which, God, I have problems. But Edge said, I'm a liar. And he pops Seth in the mouth. Seth tries to give it to Edge back. Edge hits the execution, and then he memes via the face. Like, his eyes bug out, and he's getting all excited, and he wants to go for a spear, and then Seth Rollins ducks out. I'm just going to say it again here. Edge, simmer down that face, bruh. Like you're doing so many different emotions. I don't even know if you're cracking like an egg, baby. And you see how I asked it like a question? Because I don't know what's going on with you right now, okay? Get your shit together. But yeah, he gets one up on Seth. He lives to meme another day, and I'm very much looking forward to this match when it happens. How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling very good, too. I'm fully assuming this is a SummerSlam match waiting to happen, so excited for that.
Honestly, bro, the only thing I'm more enthused about than this is your face. So, like, yeah.
I appreciate it. Let's move on.
Yeah. Toni Storm versus Zelina Vega. Okay, so I'm going to work backwards really quick here. Sick new finisher for Toni Storm, Storm 1. I love it. I seem to be in good company there. I know everyone in the Discord, you included, loved it. Let's talk a little bit, though, about Toni Storm as a babyface, because she was heel in NXT. How do you feel about it, man? I always want you to go first with questions like this.
I am not going to act like Toni Storm did a complete 180 with me tonight. But yeah, that new finisher is really, really cool. It was weird and kind of disorienting seeing her kind of doing the babyface stuff, high-fiving the fans and just being generally more likable. I still think she's just only okay in the ring, but like I said, that new finisher is really, really cool. And this was like a step in the right direction for me, for Toni Storm. This was the most I have liked her maybe ever in WWE. So probably since the last time she was in Stardom, I should say.
You know what, man? I can pick up everything you're laying down, for sure. Like I said in the Discord, I'm really surprised that she's a babyface right now when we're in the Bianca era. Only because, like, you just know they're salivating to put the title on her.
Well,
like, it's going to happen.
Maybe she realizes that she's not going to win the title in her first couple months, so she wants to kind of chill about it.
Maybe, yeah.
Or then again, maybe she has no control over her alignment, and Vince just told her to go out there and be babyface because you're new.
You know, it's funny. Like, I feel like Toni, and here's the thing, my opinion on Toni Storm has always been complicated because I think I can enjoy her in the ring, but she's not a competitor I actively think about. Yeah. Like, the way I actively think about Sasha, Bianca, Starlight Kid, and Stardom, all these people, like, Toni isn't somebody that I'm like, Bayley even, hell, I've been thinking about Bayley, like, every day, and she's injured. Toni is not one of those people that I think about, like, oh, man, we get to see Toni Storm tonight. I don't know if she'll ever be that type. I don't want to say that she'll never be that type because wrestling's a very weird business.
And she's young.
But and she's young. But, like, I feel like if she was in another era, like, if she was in the era of, like, the Beth Phoenixes, the Melinas, and stuff like that, she would have been, like, a top star then. Yeah. I'm curious.
She's got, like, the model look.
Yeah.
And she, I mean, in that era, she would have been among the top tier of the in-ring workers. It's just that this era, she's, like, B-tier-ish.
Yeah. And, like, I have to wonder, dude, and here's the thing, again, it's not that Toni is a horrible performer, but WWE, if nothing else, WWE is like any other corporation in the world. They're going to read the trends, they're going to read the culture, and they're going to pander when it's reasonable for them, and it seems like a windfall will come from it. They'll pander to the culture.
When it's financially, beneficial for them.
I have to wonder if Toni Storm can be a top star even in this era. I don't want to say that she can't be, but, like, again, you look at what Sasha and Bianca did at Mania. You look at how the mainstream coverage that got, they won an award at the ESPYs, stuff like that. I don't know if this is a culture that's kind of, I don't want to say past Toni Storm by, because that would make it seem like she's a relic, and like you said, she is young. But I don't know
she's only
if she can reach.
So even, like, even if you wanted to go back to the Beth Phoenix era, she would have been a teenager.
Yeah, so, like, I don't want to be hyperbolic in my language. I haven't meant to be. I'm just saying I wonder if the culture is one that, like, wants a champion like Toni Storm, or if Bianca is kind of becoming the norm now, which is the furthest thing from a bad thing. I find that exciting as shit. Like, Jesus, because that means that, more women from backgrounds. Like, I know Xia Li on NXT was like, oh, I'm going to be the first Chinese woman to be NXT champion. I look forward to the day if we can get competent workers from all over the world that they can say, I'm the first this, I'm the first that. Because on that bare level, and I've always said, I do think representation matters. I think the conversation about identity politics more broadly is a bit more nuanced and certainly beyond the scope of this podcast. But I think for a television program, that representation, if Bianca does represent a changing of the guard, it's a very welcome thing. Yeah. So I have to wonder where Tony fits in the scheme of things. Because on one hand, I think WWE wants to make her a champion. I have to wonder, though, if she would draw more than a Bianca or this one or that one. Like, Tony's such an interesting case to me. I'm really curious what her first calendar year with the company is going to be like. Yeah. I really am. Because, I
mean, I think you and I both agreed last week, or 2 weeks ago, I guess it would have been, when Shotzi and Tegan debuted, that Tegan and Tony specifically were going to be much better booked in their first couple of years than Shotzi.
Yeah. And I stand by that. And I think we were 100% right about that. And you can already see people were already making jokes that Tony's already done better on the main roster than Cross.
Yeah. To be fair, I think Jeff Hardy, of all people, is a hell of a lot more of a credible opponent than Zelina Vega, as much as I do love Zelina. But yeah, just in the sense that, like, yeah, Tony debuts against somebody that just was in a big-time pay-per-view competing to get an opportunity to challenge for the world title of their division, and wins. And then, of course, Cross faces a former world champion in his own right, but also a 40-plus-year-old out of shape. Maybe not even out of shape, but just broken down Jeff Hardy. And I guess the power of no more words was just overwhelming.
Yeah. And again, as Paul, P.W. Gregory on Twitter, Paul pointed out, Jeff did have his feet on the ropes when he beat Cross, which is something I didn't even know originally. So, they did kind of in their way go out to protect Cross in a way. But yeah, Tony gets the win here. Very interested what her first calendar year on the main roster is going to be like and how long she'll be a face for that period of time. That remains to be seen.
Yeah, that was my thought, was that I'm wondering how long this face run is going to last for Tony, if it's meant to be like a real thing or if it's just meant to be like smoke and mirrors. She's a face while she's new, but she's going to turn heel as soon as we feel like it's appropriate.
Exactly. All right. Next we get, Jimmy Uso, and that's not the reason why I'm eyeing, versus Dominic.
Yeah, that's the one. Is this the only match on this entire show that the crowd just did not give a single fuck about?
Probably. And credit even to this match, though, the right person won. And they did it in a heelish way to get heat. They kind of repeated the finish from Sunday, with Jay coming in and getting extra leverage for Jimmy on the pin. And that was that.
Yep.
So we could just put that behind us. And then we get our tribal chief. Have you acknowledged him today, Ashton?
The show. I can't believe how short this show felt tonight. It flew by.
It really did, dude. It was beautiful. Believe me, WWE, and I know you're not going to listen to this because you're still going to do your 5-hour shows and shit like that in the future. In wrestling, less really is more. Stardom has perfected that art, and when WWE actually participates in that art, it's a pretty great fucking feeling. Roman Reigns comes out. Now, just amazing what happens here, because he's got that air about him, that confidence. You know what? I always talk a mile a minute. This is a 2-person show, and I love hearing Ashton's opinions more than my own. Ashton, walk us through this promo and your thoughts about it, and including lines that just jumped out at you. I'm sure there was one that jumped out at all of us.
I'm only even bothering to say this because we talked about how short this show felt. I read today, WWE Raw has been a 3-hour program now, as of today, so literally to the day, for 9 years. What the fuck?
Dude, not that close to a decade already?
Yeah!
Holy fucking shit, dude.
I know! It's insane. Dude, 2012 was 9 years ago. That was when Brock returned.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I know. Anyway, okay. I'm sorry. I just wanted to point that out because we've talked about how short this show felt. And it got me to thinking, I'm like, this show sure felt short. But Raw never does because it's 3 hours. And that's been going on for way too long. And then I remembered, I saw something about Raw's been 3 hours for an exact number of years today. And I pulled it up, and it was 9. 9 years. That's insane. Since 2012. Since July 23rd, 2012, it's been 9 hours. Or 3
Holy shit.
It feels like 9 hours, but it's 3 hours.
Yes.
Oh. Okay, now, back to our tribal chief. God damn it, Cliff, you got me corpsing. Yes, I loved this Roman Reigns because, dude, it is incredible. You compare 2021 Roman Reigns to 2017 Roman Reigns, who forgot his line in the ring, cutting promos with Cena, trying to exchange barbs, and Cena was like, "Oh, I'll let you find it. If you're gonna if you're gonna be the big dog, you got to learn how to cut a promo, there, kid." Like, really on his ass, that whole thing. And Roman's whole line was like, I think he called Cena a bitch. Like, that was the big punchline. Was like, "Oh, so you're a bitch, Cena," and like. He doesn't need to resort to that anymore. He's found his voice, and I love it. He's so good. He was like, "You're right, John. I can't see you because I don't particularly want to see you. I don't need to see you. I've got no interest in seeing you." So good. He brought up how Cena comes out here and it's the same thing. It's like we're back in 2005 all over again. He comes out here, he hypes the crowd up. It's the bright colors, it's the jorts, it's the this and that. And then he said it's like the same thing every single time. It's like having missionary sex every single time. And then he did this cocky little smile and he was like, "And the tribal chief, not okay with that." I was like, holy shit, Roman. Like, dude, there was like a little tinge of Rock in that part of the promo specifically. The part where he said that he, like, John Cena's like missionary sex and the tribal chief doesn't want to have that all the time. Like, there was just the tiniest little hint of, okay, he's channeling Dwayne. And yeah, then he goes on to say, to answer your challenge, "No, I'm not going to accept your challenge for SummerSlam." And as soon as he says that, Finn's music hits. And I'm like, what the hell's going on right now? I lost my mind. I didn't know what to do with my hands. Your turn to take it over.
This is why I love when I let you go first for stuff like this, and I try and consciously do it more often. Here's the brilliant thing about the Roman promo that we got. He's right.
Yeah.
I don't even say that in a snooty, like, "Oh, fuck John Cena" way. I've enjoyed Cena since he's been back.
Yeah,
I'm happy
that, like, he is doing the same stuff he used to do, but the difference is it's working rather than getting met with boos and, like, mixed reactions because, A, he's back for the first time in a long time, and B, the WWE in general is back to having crowds for the first time in a long time. So these crowds, it's like fucking baby birds. Like, their mouths are open. They're willing to accept anything. They just want to react to something. They want to be loud. They want to be a crowd again. And so, like, all the old shticks that Cena's always gotten away with, or at least that he used to get away with before the crowds got sick of him, are working again. It's like, old becomes new again. And Roman pointed it out with great efficacy.
He did. I think that was the masterstroke of the whole promo, is that I think the best heel promos are ones where you give the guy his props, but your critiques are pretty solid. Because ultimately, the biggest thing of all, at least in traditional wrestling storytelling, is that the babyface is the better wrestler. Yeah. So, yeah, the heel could own him in words, but it's actions that count. Now, I have so much I want to say about this, and that's another reason why I let you go first, because I didn't want to monopolize the airtime. But we do have Finn come out, and Finn more or less says, "Hey, if you're not interested in John Cena's challenge, maybe you'll be interested in mine." Dude, and again,
this was the best moment of the night. The crowd's just out again. I love that the crowd is just coming up with shit unprompted. It's not like someone else was like, "Oh, hey guys, you should chant this," like The Rock does every time he comes back. They come up with this shit on their own, and they started saying, "Roman's scared." I was losing my mind. Oh my god. And that shit emanated too. That was the whole arena within seconds.
And dude, credit to Roman. See, this is why when they say it's a three-man team, the crowd and the two people in the ring, this is it at its absolute fucking finest, because Roman actually points at Finn and looks at the crowd and says, "Me scared of this guy? Like, nah." And he actually says, "Challenge accepted." Now, here's where I've got to be the Debbie Downer, and for once I actually fucking hate it.
Yeah.
I hope they commit to this title match, but I'm worried that it's going to lead to John Cena versus Finn, winner gets Roman at SummerSlam. Okay. So they take it out of the audience hands, and they're still like, "Well, fuck you. We're about making a big card on paper." And see, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
If they do commit, and I do want to say this, I want to cover all of our bases.
I've got something to add, then go ahead.
No. If you have something to add, please go first.
I was just going to say, even if they do that and it ends up being Cena Roman regardless, and we just take a few extra steps to get there, the thing that I fucking love is that Balor's in the conversation, man. Balor's right there. Like, Cena loses to Roman at SummerSlam, Balor's at the front of the line as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, dude, fuck yeah. And the best part about Balor as a challenger, we know for a fact he can beat Roman Reigns. Maybe not this Roman Reigns, which is why we're having a fucking match.
Dude,
but Roman Reigns in general.
I really thought that we were going to see... There were 2 moments tonight that I thought we were going to see clips from years past. I thought we were going to get to see the Seth Edge clip from 2014, where Seth almost goes to stomp on that chair around Edge's neck, and he refuses to because, he gets what he wants. And then the other one that I thought we were going to get was just the quick clip of Finn hitting the coup de grace on Roman in, I believe, 2016, and getting the winning pinfall on him to earn the shot at the Universal Championship. That was like, I really thought we were going to get that clip just for Finn to be like, oh, what's the matter, Roman? Don't you think you can beat me because I've got your number? You know what I mean? Like, I really liked that. I was like, oh, so if they do stay firm with the Cena Roman thing, and we're just taking the scenic route to get there, I'm fine with that as long as Cena is next, or as long as Balor is next in line, especially if we get to see Balor beating Roman in 2016, leading up to SummerSlam that year to earn a chance to win the Universal title, and actually then doing it.
Yeah, dude, there are so many ways they could tell this story. I just don't want them to pick the basic one of Balor and Cena have a match, Cena beats Balor, and Balor's almost forgotten about, because everything you just said is 100% right. What I would find far more interesting, for 2 reasons, is if they actually commit to this and they remain in good faith, and we just get Balor Roman at SummerSlam. And my 2 reasons are thus. One is creative, one is more meta. The meta reason is I always applaud when WWE takes a chance on somebody on a Big 4 pay-per-view and putting Balor's name on the marquee. I'm curious, like, what the interest with that would be. Yeah. I don't know if streaming services like Peacock, I don't know if it's part of analytics where it's like, oh, they turned off this content like this many minutes. And kind of how like with YouTube videos, it's like, oh, they watched for this long or this long. Yeah, watch time, stuff like that. I'm curious if people would stick with Balor versus Roman. And if they do, you could make the argument, well, maybe it is Roman. It's kind of hard to tell. But the other more creative reason that's less messy, because Roman's rebuke was so sound and bulletproof from where I sit, John Cena's at a point in his career that I think people are going to love him regardless. I'm not saying turn heel. That's not where I'm going with this. But, like, maybe show a different side of yourself that's still babyface. Even if it's, I don't know, like, I look at Thugonomics as like a regression, so I'm not asking for Thugonomics. I'm asking for something else. Maybe he would come out with a new theme. Maybe he would come out with like a rougher attitude. I don't know. But I think if it was directed at a heel, he's going to remain over.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think Roman was just right. I think Cena's back for the nostalgia act. And more importantly, speaking from, like you said, more of a meta context and more of an inside baseball context, Cena's back to plug Peacemaker. He's got an HBO series coming up, and he wants people to see it, and there's no better platform for him to use to do that than making a WWE comeback and making some noise there.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you again. I think every point you're making is solid. It's just for me, and I guess, I don't know, it's the nerd in me. Like, I want Cena to look at this like, damn, this isn't the era, because there used to be an era where he could walk into a building and be like, hey, I'm fighting for the world title at such and such a place. I'm John Cena, recognized. I mean, we all remember that. This isn't the John Cena recognized era anymore.
No.
Roman proved that tonight. Roman controlled Cena's fate tonight. And if I'm John Cena, a guy that built this company, even though Roman kind of inherited it because of the nepotistic ties and everything, I'm a bit indignant about that, but I'm not indignant about that to the point where I'm storming the offices. I'm indignant about that to where I answer Roman's gauntlet. The gauntlet that he's thrown down, I pick it up, I answer it, and I find something new within myself that, again, isn't a heel. I can't stress that enough, and isn't a regression either. I don't want him to come back with the backwards cap, doing some lukewarm rap on Roman.
You know what, though? I feel like if he would try that, Roman would burn him even harder. He'd be like, damn, Cena, you went from nostalgia to even older nostalgia?
Yeah, like, I want Cena to find a new voice in himself for just this one match and just, show what versatility he has. Hell, we kind of praised Okada. Now, granted, this was versatility in terms of moveset.
Bro,
but, like,
what if Cena goes 100% with it and he literally becomes Peacemaker for the match?
See, that would be good enough for me. Honestly, I would be okay with that.
Dude, he literally showed up in full uniform on Jimmy Kimmel the other day.
Dude, yeah, I'm totally... If you wanted to pull some Three Faces of Foley fuck shit and be like, I'm the Dodger of Thugonomics, I'm hustle, loyalty, and respect, but I'm also peace. Like, I'd honestly pop for that. Is it gimmicky? Is it like another manifestation of hyper-capitalism where ad and content no longer that line is just so fucking destroyed? Yeah, probably. But do I love it, and do I eat it willingly on my knees with my mouth open like, yeah, since we're getting all sexual and suggestive.
They're just dumping it, and just pouring in. You're like those fucking body horror shows where they do that with like liquid metal or concrete.
Exactly. So no, I think that's I think that's what I've been trying to like frustratingly articulate. I think that's an amazing idea. I think that's what's needed because listen, and it would be crazy for Cena because it's like, you're really going to leave me off a Big Four pay-per-view. But I think from a character standpoint, what is more of a cut? Because Cena always rubs off every loss, everything else. But what's more of a cut to your soul than being the guy that did so much for the company? And Cena did. I think he was one of the best top guys WWE has ever had, even from just a longevity standpoint.
Maybe
and like,
even
you get deliberately left off SummerSlam. Like, that's a mind fuck.
What if he really does? Like, what if it's not even a match? What if his role on SummerSlam is to show up as Peacemaker to plug the show?
Yeah, and then maybe Roman kind of like runs into him and he kind of laughs at him. Maybe he doesn't even say anything. He just kind of looks at Paul and he kind of gives a little laugh. Like, I have always, and I know it's weird to be asking for it now when he's not even in the twilight of his career. Like, he is in that role of like, I'll show up every once in a while. I'll do the big match. I'll put over the big guy. And then I'll go back to my thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. The last time we saw him was WrestleMania 36 when he put over Bray.
Exactly, but like, I feel like this is the time. What do you have to lose to shake up your character? And yes, again, I just want to say for any new listeners, I don't say it for you guys because I know you get it. There's more than one way to shake up a character than just turning heel and being evil. Yeah. Like, have him have that breakdown, like, and just be like, okay, well, if John Cena ain't gonna do it, maybe he'll say yes to Peacemaker, and maybe Roman would say yes only because he would think it'd be an easy night at the office. But Roman is such a great chicken shit heel that when he realized
really creative shit with this because of the fact that the last time we saw him was the Funhouse match, like, they could have him show up as the Doctor of Thugonomics next week, and completely unironically just act that way, and have it seem like he's just completely reverted back to it, and he doesn't even know why it's weird that he would do that. And like Roman cuts another scathing promo, same thing, like, damn Cena, you went back even further in time, whatever. And then it's like we get this big reveal that like the Firefly Funhouse match scrambled his brain and made him confused as to who he is, and then he fucking shows up as Peacemaker.
And then that's when Roman, a la Triple H with Cactus Jack, genuinely sells it. Because he's such a great chicken shit heel. Like, maybe he'd laugh at first, but when Peacemaker would actually hurt him...
that's what I was going to say. He can't do the Triple H sell, because Peacemaker looks too ridiculous. He would laugh his ass off until Cena actually got in the ring and did something to him. Then he'd get that serious, like, oh shit, what the fuck am I working with here kind of look in his face.
And because we know a little bit about Peacemaker, like, from the movie and stuff, like, obviously he's a very... morally complex character, if you will. Remember in the Funhouse, Bray kind of mocked Cena like, oh, you never cheat, you abide by your code. And Cena actually did try and swing a chair at Bray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Peacemaker like, I'd do anything for freedom. Yeah, that whole thing.
So, like, even showing a Cena that would do anything to beat Roman, maybe he does get the steel chair that, like, Roman wouldn't expect Cena to do because also... And, like, what about the kids? Fuck them kids, bro. Like, I want that 17th world title.
Dude,
they could do so much here.
So cool too, because like I feel like even the kids would root for him because he's doing it to Roman, and Roman is such a heel.
Exactly. And look, here's the thing too, and maybe this is me giving kids too much credit. Look, kids have changed from when I was a kid. I remember when
came up with the most brilliant marketing scheme of the 21st century, and WWE's probably not even going to get close to it.
It sucks, dude. I hate the free labor that we do, and we don't even get paid by them for this shit. But, like, I feel like kids are far more intelligent than WWE gives them credit for. Like, I'll never forget. Now, this was many, many years ago, so I can only imagine what they do now. They probably wouldn't even like it now because they'd be on their fucking iPhones. God, I sounded like such a boomer there. But I used to love, like, haunted hayrides. I remember once there was, like, a haunted hayride I went on just with my family because it was a fun thing to do. Kids weren't even scared. Kids, I think, were, like, laughing at it. Like, anybody that thinks, oh, kids need the bright colors and they need to be coddled, let me tell you something. Now, maybe, again, this is me giving kids too much credit. The kids would love Peacemaker more than anyone. I genuinely believe that, dude. They would love Peacemaker more than fucking anyone. They would be so into that shit. And they would talk to their friends about it, and they'd get the action figure, and God knows it would help the movie. They'd be like, oh, well, we gotta see, this Suicide Squad movie now. And then it would give parents a headache, because I'm pretty sure that movie's rated R. And it's like, what do we do? But yeah, they would be into it. Like, trust kids to actually put something like that in front of them. God, like, catch up with the rest of television, WWE. We've had shows like Steven Universe, Avatar, Adventure Time, and many others that tackle complicated themes for kids. And they handle them with just aplomb, really, and they handle it really well. Have Cena play in the gray a little bit and let kids kind of sort that out. I think it'd be great. They're not going to do anything close to it. I think you had a brilliant idea, and the way you marketed it and kind of what I was able to tack on, that's how you get the match. And Finn gets his spotlight at a Big Four pay-per-view, which puts it on him, which I want them to do for Big E later in the year. Well, actually next year for WrestleMania in Dallas. This is what WWE needs to be doing. Like, yeah, these are the guys that should be doing your Big Fours, and Cena should be having that character arc of like, oh my God, they deliberately left me off SummerSlam. Like, what do I do? And then this happens.
And that is what, like, I think that's the thing that got me the most excited about the Balor exchange too, was like, there was just this moment where the crowd just accepted it, and they were like, oh my God, we're actually not getting Roman Cena, but this is better. And like, they were so excited when Balor came out and he was so over, and then he made the challenge and they were like, Roman's scared. They wouldn't have chanted that about Cena, no way. But they chanted about Finn, and it's like, it feels so much like we're like entering a new era of WWE now, post-COVID crowdless shows. And it's like they're really like harping on the new era feel with literally going from like, oh, we're bringing back all these legends to be in these world title matches to like, oh, but wait, maybe not across the board, because the Goldberg match is still a thing. And let's be real, the Cena match is probably still a thing too. But for just this moment in time, it's so cool that we got Roman versus Balor, quote unquote, official. And the show just ended. I was like, that's just it? It's really just like, we're just going to go off the air with that being the SummerSlam World Title match. Okay, I'm happy about this.
I just have one more question for you about this segment, because I really have nothing new to say without being redundant, but I do just have one thing to ask you. Now, I understand not every SmackDown is going to be held in Cleveland, and every crowd's going to react differently. Do you think it's a risk by WWE if they do what we think they're going to do, and they're just going to do the by the numbers, we're going to get Cena his title match anyway, but it's going to be more of a Cena crowd? Do you think the crowd's going to kind of like turn on that? Or do you think Cena's so hot that they're not going to care? Because they responded so positively to Balor. I almost wonder if this is a risk.
Question. I hadn't even thought of that. Well, if they pit Cena against Balor and have Cena win, yes, that will absolutely get turned on for sure. If they go the Peacemaker route, I don't know. It might be a little better received than we realized.
Dude, see, I love moments like this because you and I had a very spirited discussion that'll go down as one of my favorites in the archives, for sure. What I love about this is WWE always puts themselves in a corner with shit like this. And I'm always curious how they're going to get themselves out of the corner. Is it like, are you going to do like the bloody, messy, oh my God, I mangled the neighbor's cat, we're just doing Cena Roman, and I'm sorry you guys didn't want it. We didn't think you'd react that loudly to Balor. It was a mistake. It was a prop. It was a smoke screen. We're sorry. Or are they going to do maybe a triple threat?
SmackDown's main event just roster for the men is just so stacked. It didn't even have to be Balor. It could have been Owens, same reaction. It could have been Big E, same reaction. Like, it could have been Nakamura or Cesaro, same reaction. Seriously. I think Balor's over, but I don't think that he's that much exceptionally more over than the rest of SmackDown's like upper mid-card main event level baby faces.
I don't know if I can enthusiastically co-sign to that. Like, I think part of me can, another part of me would really love to almost do like a decibel, because I'll never forget when like Kofi got the loudest pop at WrestleMania because of science. Like, the fucking decibels bore it out in the stadium. I'd love to see like empirically who the most over is, because Balor owned Cleveland tonight. Well, Cleveland was Balor country.
Given what you told me about what Kevin Owens said about Big E's moment at Money in the Bank, I would have to think he would get the biggest reaction.
Yeah, and dude, here's the thing. Big E's got that mechanism, that fucking briefcase. Yeah, when he says he's getting a touch shot, yeah.
Could you fucking imagine Roman says no to Cena and Big E's music hits and he comes out with the briefcase and he's just like, so, you don't want to face Cena, do you? Well, how about me? And you can't say no.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would want it to pan to Heyman's face because I think Heyman would recognize Big E as a threat.
Yes.
And Roman would just be like, fuck.
That's what I'm saying, though, dude. I think the crowd would have popped huge for that.
And see, I want... And this isn't like an angry, dispirited... no, I'm sorry. Were you going to say something?
No, I
didn't want to cut you off.
You said, I want, and I said proof.
Yeah, like, I do too, after that, because that's a very interesting part of our discussion. But, like, I think how I want to punctuate my side of things, and I'm not saying this, like, in an angry, distressed, or dispirited way. Like, I'm hopped up on our own energy right now. I'm hopped up on our own supply. I want WWE to see that. I want WWE to see how over Power is and Big E is. Now, granted, I do think WWE does see it. Otherwise, I don't think they would have given him the briefcase, and I do think he'll be a successful cash-in. I would be shocked if Big E failed, and the only way I could see him failing, the only means I could see him failing, is if it was like, it was a clean cash-in, he had a valiant babyface effort, he came up short, maybe even because of cheating, but that's only a point of his journey, not the end of it, because he ultimately does get the world title. Like, that is the only acceptable route if he would fail his cash-in. Everything else would be horse shit. I do think they see it in some ways. I just want them to have the most holistic perspective that they can and see how many people are fucking over, because we've been waiting and we've been watching wrestling, but I mean, between the two of us, it's so many decades. I've been waiting for them to pivot and be like, okay, you know what? AEW, and I can't even believe I'm saying this because I know you and I aren't fans, but like, they're swallowing people up now. They're doing the WWE thing. They're swallowing people up. If they've got the people that are heavily rumored that they've gotten, whether we care about it or not personally, I do see ratings spiking big time, especially for their debut episode. You know, they're coming in guns blazing. Doesn't mean I like them, but, you know, competition's competition. WWE has got to see, like, hey, we're not the only game in town anymore. Like, let's take a chance on these guys. How many pay-per-view buys can Bauer get us? How many Peacock subscriptions can Big E get us? Et cetera, et cetera. Start putting these guys in the fucking game. Because they're ready. Yep. This crowd was hot for these motherfuckers tonight. Cleveland was Bauer country. It was Big E country. The women are doing great. I think Bianca's an amazing representative for the women. And kudos to Bayley for being a solid heel while she was around, and she will soon be again. You've got the players right now. And it's not often you get all the players at once, because they've got amazing women, they've got an amazing main event, and they've even got a strong undercard. All at once right now. Take advantage of that. Have a fucking golden era. Have an era that's like,
really
man,
does feel like we are kind of in the middle of a wrestling golden age in general right now. At least, I don't know, at least in the U.S. Maybe it's just because it's like the post-COVID thing, but like, bruh, Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson on his way to AEW, that's going to be huge. I've heard rumors that CM Punk might be on his way there as well. Bandito is the Ring of Honor World Champion. Like, I don't know. I feel like SmackDown's killing it. Obviously, Raw is a major exception. I mean, it even feels like NXT's starting to get their shit together. I don't know. I feel like we're really starting to be like a part of something great.
Dude, I hope so, because the air is ripe with something, man. It really is. Like, this SmackDown tonight.
I just had a really cool moment on Monday with Nikki cashing in, you know?
Nikki cashing in, and until I feel like they kind of, at least in my opinion, because I just want the best for the dude, but even Keith Lee returning got a nice pop in his hometown.
Yeah, that's
like,
true too, for sure. I think the unfortunate thing about that is that it very much felt like a one-off, and that like we might not see Keith again for a while. If he's on Raw again next week, all of my concerns are just completely quelled. But for now, I'm a little concerned that it was just like a one-off. He shows up in his hometown to wrestle, lose to Bobby Lashley, and then disappears again for a while.
Yeah, I've heard that he's back full-time. That's what I've heard. We'll have to see. But, yeah, I guess the only thing I didn't like about it wasn't even necessarily that Lashley won, because he is the champion, and obviously we know the match he's big for. I just didn't like that he seemed to handle a guy that looks like Keith Lee pretty handily. But to keep on focus, because this is a SmackDown review, we do not do Raw reviews, it's just to make the point that Keith Lee being back in the mix, another huge asset, literally and figuratively, for the company. Like, you've got your players. Let's play the fucking game. Let's do it, because these pay-per-views... Yeah, there you go. I knew somebody was going to do it. like these pay-per-views could be epic. Money in the Bank was pretty solid.
I would do the whole thing, but it's too early or it's too late, so I don't want to wake anyone up.
I'm honestly grateful because I know we're getting ready to close out this review, and like, yeah, I wanna just punctuate it with this discussion and get into our next segment. But yeah, like Money in the Bank was solid. SummerSlam could be ridiculous. You know, let's see what they can do. But yeah, that was SmackDown.
It already looks like it. Because the thing is, even if it is Cena Roman is still a huge deal of a main event. We are already getting Lashley Goldberg, which I'm less excited for than what could have been. I think we were all hoping for Lashley Lesnar. But then you've also got Edge Rollins, maybe a big, clusterfuck Intercontinental title match. That could be fun. I'm assuming Bianca Sasha, assuming Sasha actually does come back. I thought it would be tonight, didn't happen. We'll see. It could be very interesting, though. I think we're probably going to get a triple threat, Nikki, Rhea, Charlotte. That could be fun, assuming Charlotte doesn't shit it up too much. But yeah, there's a lot going on for SummerSlam, for sure.
Yeah. Dude, really happy. I won't say for the WWE because they're kind of a soulless corporation, but I'm happy for the performers themselves that they're getting these reactions and they're a part of the mix right now. Because I think they could really do both some art and some money work at the same time. Wrestling business is in a really, really weird place, but I don't think it's entirely negative. So next segment, high spots, low shots. My low shot's John Cena because he got denied and usurped in a matter of seconds. So John Cena's going to be my low shot right now until he course corrects. So who's your low shot?
Yeah, that's pretty fair. Who is my low shot? Dominic Mysterio, because the crowd, literally, you're the only babyface on this entire show that the crowd didn't pop for, and you lost.
High spot's fucking easy. I will, in fact, go for the low-hanging fruit. Finn fucking Balor.
Yeah.
Not only does he beat Sami Zayn tonight, he had the crowd in the palm of his fucking hand, and he used the power of the crowd to, for the moment, because we only deal with what we know, not what we think is going to happen, get a Universal Championship match at SummerSlam. And the crowd was so on Finn's side, they indicted Roman with the charge of being scared of him. Holy fucking shit, Finn, you beast. And this was all, and I want to mention something else too, and I have to say on a side note, I'm proud of Finn Balor. Also to reiterate, my honorary high spot was Cleveland. You were a beautiful fucking crowd. Thank you. Finn has always said he didn't want to use the demon as a crutch. Finn, tonight was your vindication, brother. It was your vindication. Jesus Christ. He was so over and not an ounce of body pain on him. That's beautiful, man. That's good for Finn. Good for fucking Finn for betting on himself because he just won fucking big. Who's your high spot?
Yeah, that's the easiest high spot for sure. For my high spot, let's see. God, you really did take the best one, I will say.
Co-sign with me. Join me on this. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely the easiest way to do it. If I can think of someone better, I think I will do that. I'm trying to think of what other matches we had tonight because, Balor did have a really strong win. I know we had Bianca beat Carmella to retain. We had Dawkins beating Gable. What other matches did we have tonight?
Let's see. We had Storm beating Vega.
Yeah.
And we had Jimmy Uso beating Dominic, so...
Okay, yeah, I'll tell you what. Honorary high spot can be Tony Storm, but I'm going to sign on. It's Balor. It's Balor.
Fuck yeah, the cosign. Hey, I love sharing. I've never been opposed to that. It's fucking Balor country here at TWitWoW, guys.
I like sharing.
What
I
a show.
Don't like feeling unoriginal,
Hey, I understand that, but bro, honestly, he was so fucking over. What else are you gonna do? Because Big E would have been an easy choice if he had that. If they did the 6-man that we thought they were gonna do, and he was on the winning team, because he was over as fuck too tonight. But Balor just owned the night. The only other person would be Roman Reigns because he did own John Cena on the mic, and he showed everybody that he's not scared of Finn, and he accepted a challenge. So I don't know if you want to go Roman because he had a pretty great fucking promo tonight. So what do you think? Do you want to stick with Finn as a cosign, or do you want to go with Roman? Because I thought Roman had a strong night too.
Wait. I'm sorry. What did you just... me to change my high spot?
No, I'm asking you if you would consider Roman because he did have a strong promo tonight. He owned Cena on the mic tonight with that missionary line alone. That was the line of all of SmackDown tonight.
That was absolutely great, but he didn't have a better night than Finn. Because Finn, Roman... The thing is, Roman might feel like he sidestepped his biggest challenge ever, but he might also not have actually done that. He might have just put it off. Finn I think, had a clearly better night than Roman, just because, like, I mean, first of all, the match itself, how over he was, how much of a pop he got, the reactions that he got tonight. Dude, they chanted Roman's scared. You can't cover from that. No, it's Finn. It's Finn.
All right, well, guys, it is Bauer Country here
sorry, by the way,
at TWitWoW.
I wasn't paying attention to what you were saying there because I was looking through Mia Yim's Twitter trying to find the tweet that she said that it isn't a one-off, and I didn't see it anywhere. So, Javaris, I'm going to need a link, bruh.
Yeah, but, guys, it's Bauer Country here at TWitWoW. And with that said, this has been Smackdown. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort coming to Ashton. Guys, be sure to like the video as you file out. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for SmackDown reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon down below so you never again miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the description box, including the TWitWoW Patreon, where we show you everything that we offer. The two most notable things I always like to plug: additional Q&A questions. Q&A is 6 days away. It's always the last Thursday of every month. It just happens to be the 29th this month. So if you don't donate, you only get 3 questions. If you donate the $1, however, you get 2 additional questions for a total of 5. But I recommend, if you haven't donated, to donate $3 so that you get the additional Q&A questions, but you also get access to the TWitWoW Discord. It's amazing. I have been participating in there a lot more today. I even had a nice little discussion about Mayu and Starlight Kid. I did a nice little recording for the group, and I wanted to talk to some people about it. I even talked about Kanye's new album that he's going to be dropping in the music channel. We can talk about anything in the Discord. It's an amazing community, amazing group of people. And we do Among Us Mondays, and it's a really fun time. So that's only $3 a month. So check that out. Be sure to follow us both on Twitter. My Twitter is at John_TWitWoW, and my pinned tweet is to collect Q&A questions. I would say the 2 easiest places to submit Q&A questions, even though you can submit them YouTube and Facebook, as well as these 2 places, but the 2 easiest places I think are Twitter and Discord. Twitter, you can just reply to my pinned tweet, and we'll see your Q&A questions. We're able to collect them easily. And Discord, we have a channel specifically dedicated to Q&A questions, so it's nice and organized. Ashton's pinned tweet is the TWitWoW schedule for the month. So obviously we are in July. We are already in late July. Why? Because time is fucking weird. That's why. So today was the 23rd. We've updated and amended the schedule a little bit. Tomorrow at 7 p.m., we are hoping, because Stardom's upload rate has been very questionable. I've been actually surprised. 718 show still isn't fully up yet, but we are hoping at 7 tomorrow. No, I haven't checked in several hours, but the last I checked, they've only had 4 matches up for the 718 show.
Oh no, it's all 5.
Like,
5 are up. 5 are up.
Do they also have the complete show up? Because the 5 match, I'll tell you, that wasn't up when I checked like hours ago, and I checked I think like around even 4:30. So I'm like, even if we wanted to go at 5 today, I don't think we would have been able to. So I'm hoping, guys, that they get the complete show up. But even if the
complete show video isn't even up for the 717 show, so I think they're just not doing that because of how busy the schedule is right now.
Yeah, so guys, with the 5th show up, we are guaranteed then, I can say this with certainty, we'll be on 7 p.m. tomorrow to live react to that show. Should be interesting, especially given that Kid has chosen to stay with Oedo Tai. So Oedo Tai and Stars, that rivalry continues.
The only thing I don't like about that is that we don't get Starlight Kid promos anymore. God damn it, I want promos.
I know, and I know she's doing them on Twitter, but they're not subtitled, so it still feels inaccessible to me. And then Sunday, 4 p.m., we are live reacting to New Japan's Wrestle Grand Slam, but it is only the final 3 matches. We looked at the card. We decided the final 3 matches were the only thing we had any interest in, and so that's what we've decided to go with. So it is going to be Cobb and Okada, the New Japan Tag Title matchup, and tentatively Ibushi versus Shingo. We don't know Ibushi's status. I haven't heard any updates from anybody that I know keeps their finger on the New Japan pulse. I don't think, Ashton, you've heard anything either. So I'm going to assume that Ibushi's still facing Shingo. If he gets replaced with somebody we don't like, though, Ashton and I have already discussed, like I've already told him straight up, if Ibushi got replaced hypothetically with somebody like Evil, I would want to nope out, and Ashton agreed. So hopefully it is 3 matches. It really depends on, 1, if Ibushi's going to compete, and 2, if he isn't competing, if they replace him with somebody worthwhile. So we'll have to see. But yeah, you're guaranteed right now to get 3 match live reactions. That's at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then that's just it. I'm just going to leave it to the weekend. We can talk about everything for next week when we get there, because it is going to be stacked next week because it is Q&A week. We've got a lot more stuff, including we're thinking about, in fact, not even thinking, we have on the schedule a preview and predictions for the 5-star Grand Prix. I got to fill out my tournament template. I'm going to be sure to do that this weekend. But yeah, guys, most immediately, you can catch us tomorrow at 7 for live reactions to the July 18th Stardom show. Until then, thank you for joining us for a wonderful SmackDown. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and until we meet again, tune in and peace out.